The test is not the punishment. The test is not here to trick you or fool you. This is a growth opportunity, maybe one that doesn't feel so good in the moment, but this is a growth opportunity.
They're letting you know you're about to change and get your manifestation. They are the tether to the magic that's about to come. From To Be Magnetic, this is the Expanded Podcast with your host, Lacy Phillips.
And your host, Jessica Gill.
As the leading destination for neural manifestation, we dispel the woo-woo in order to help you create real, tangible results based on neuroplasticity, psychology, epigenetics, and energetics. Our goal is to normalize the practice of manifestation and empower you to get into the driver's seat of your life in order to manifest the experiences, relationships, and things that most align with your authenticity. And by pressing play, the process begins.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Expanded. Jessica here. I don't know about you, but I feel like a lot of people are facing tests right now, whether that is a deep excavating core wound test, whether that are some peripheral irritations, triggers, or whether that is an up level that is requiring a new version of self, which a lot of people confuse with testing energy. And it is a test in and of itself, that up level, especially after you've just kind of stepped into a new version of self. It's almost testing like, can you hold this space anymore? But we wanted to create an episode to be your guide as you're getting tested. And through this period, we're about to enter eclipse season. And a lot of people get tested during that as well. So we want to be your support system through this. So Lacy and I are going to break down what to do when it comes to being tested, how to reframe it, how to take your power back. And Lacy actually has a brand new channeling that comes through during this episode. She gets somewhat tested with the kids during this episode. You guys can hear it all. And if you haven't heard yet, we had a major manifestation come through at To Be Magnetic. We are launching the How to Manifest book. This is the debut book from the To Be Magnetic brand and Lacy Phillips. We are so excited about this book. It is launching October 21st, 2025. In a few short months, you can pre-order the book now. There will be a fun little exercise that you'll get with access of your pre-order. You can check Amazon in the marketplaces, wherever you are, whatever countries you're in. And as we release translations, I'll let you guys know as well. But this has been such a big manifestation for the team, for this community, and we're just so excited to share this work with you. You can see the book on my shelf behind me. We have the galley copies. I'm just really, really excited to share this with so many people that I know I've been begging to try the work for years, and I feel like this will finally be their entry point to start making those shifts and changes in your life. You can find the link for pre-order in our show notes or on our website at tobemagnetic.com. Just so excited for this book. If you are brand new listening to this episode for the first time because your friend sent you this because you are being tested, I wanted to briefly give you a breakdown on tests. Tests are a beautiful part of this manifestation process. They are extremely challenging in the moment, but it is really the place in which you get to take your power back. So many times we have all these outside external circumstances kind of leaning on us, all of these ups and downs of life. And it's not that you're not going to have ups and downs of life, especially if you're an extremely magnetic person. That is just part of being human. But what tests offer us the opportunity to do is to look those challenges in the face and say, who do I want to be responding to them? What type of energy do I want to come to finding a solution for this problem or seeing this from a different angle? And every single time you face these obstacles in life, instead of seeing them as the universe like chipping you down and taking you down a notch, it's really the universe is saying like, I believe that you can handle this even though it's hard, or there will be a silver lining or some sort of awareness or resilience that you will build on the other side of it, even though it's very challenging. And I think so many times we get very rigid in our mind when it comes to tests. Like, did I pass it? Did I not? Was passing it doing X or was passing it doing Y? And one reframe we talk about in the episode, and we'll go into depth more in the episode, but I just want to leave you guys off with the opposite is the medicine. I've talked about in my stories. Lacy's talked about in our stories. Like, this is such an important teaching and simple reminder when you're facing those tests. How do you typically respond to this dynamic? How do you typically show up when this limiting belief, this fear, this challenge is knocking at your door? And do you have the resources, the resiliency to look that thing in the eye again and say, actually, I'm ready to choose a new story. I'm ready to become a different version of self. I know for me, for months, one of the things knocking at the universe at my door was, are you going to dial in your routines and habits? There are so many things I know will move the needle in my day-to-day, my mental health, my nervous system support, and I kept offloading them. And I couldn't quite figure out, like, what is the issue here? Like, why can't I quite dial this in? And why do I keep, a simple one with not wanting to sleep with my phone in the bedroom and not wanting to check Slack or emails or text first thing in the morning and wanting to have spaciousness in my brain before jumping into the day. And so I kept trying to do it. And then ultimately I'd be like, oh, well, tomorrow, and kept putting it off. And something for me clicked this past week where I really just took an honest look at what I was giving up by not stepping through that action. I was giving up my mental space, my mental peace for the very first thing in the morning. And it's one thing to know that, but it's another thing to really understand how much it gives you. So I played a little experiment with myself last week and I said, okay, I'm going to just do it for one day and I'm going to see, like, do I really feel that different? Like, does it make that big of a difference? And for me, Tuesdays are my craziest days. I have calls nonstop. I just plug them all together so I can get all of that energy out. But I'm also very drained after so many calls. And I was like, okay, I'm going to not check my phone for the first 45 minutes of the day and just completely go inward. And typically at the end of the day on Tuesday, I am drained and exhausted and a little bit cranky, to be honest. And I didn't go on my phone for the first 45 minutes. And it is the first Tuesday I have energy. I'm recording this podcast intro early because I had so much energy. It's the end of the day and I'm like, actually, I feel inspired to chat with a little intro here. So all this is to say, those little things that you're putting off, not making the change or responding to the test in that aligned way, think about what you may be giving up on the other side and maybe even just test out responding to a test slightly differently and see what transpires. Okay, let's jump into the episode. And at the very end, I'm going to recap the exact protocol we talked about and where you can find it in the 2-week magnetic work. Enjoy.
And now, a word from our partners.
As I get older, I've been discovering how important muscle growth really is for healthy aging. Not just aesthetics, but to move with ease, to do everyday things, and to really protect your bones as you get older. And honestly, I didn't realize how big of a role creatine actually plays in that, especially for women. That's why I started taking Beam creatine, because I wanted something clean, effective, and easy to trust. And honestly, it's made a real difference. Creatine helps to supply energy to your muscles, which can help increase muscle mass, strength, and exercise performance overall. And in recent studies, it has shown significant boosts in brain function and mental clarity, especially over time. So this isn't just about today's workout or movement, it's about investing how you want to feel in 10 to 20 years from now. Like everything else, the quality matters. And Beam Creatine is just that, high quality. They don't use fillers, they don't use sugar, nothing synthetic, just clean, pure creatine, backed by science and used by people who care about staying mentally sharp and strong. Beam is offering a limited time deal just for my listeners, and you guys can get up to 30% off your first order when you go to shopbeam.com/TBM and use code TBM at checkout. Again, that's shopbeam.com lacyandjessica.com/TBM and use the code TBM all caps for 30% off.
All right, on to the episode.
So today we are giving you your pep talk for tests. I get so many panicked voice notes and messages from people where they're like, Jessica, I'm going through a test. What do I do? Here are all the details. I wish I could respond to all of you. I just can't. So here's this episode that you can listen to. This is like getting a personalized voice note from Lacy and I. Come back to this episode whenever you are at that test zone and you're needing that reminder of what to do and how to navigate. So Lacy, first, kind of like debunking. A lot of people are so afraid of tests. They put them on the pedestal. I did a reel about this because so many people are like, everything in my life is a test. I'm constantly being tested. You know, what do you kind of foresee as the bigger role of tests and why they're actually such a positive thing?
Oh gosh, yeah. I see them as such a positive, great thing because they're letting you know you're about to change. Well, if you follow their lead, you're about to change and get your manifestation. So I actually see them as like, even though they can be so difficult and hard, they are the tether to the magic that's about to come. So it's like if you can really hold on to them and step up to them, it's like, oh man, the universe wants me to have this thing so badly. Thank you. Thank you. This is hard and this sucks, but thank you.
I love seeing them too through the lens of like an opportunity for growth. So if anyone's unfamiliar with tests, in the To Be Magnetic manifestation method, when you have crafted your list, you set your intention, you start the process of the unblocking, expanding, taking aligned action, the universe will present either opportunities or situations that in some cases are poking on the old wound or are demonstrating a situation that you could settle for. And really, if you can see it through the lens of like, no, the universe is not trying to get me to settle for that old job that I didn't want anymore, or that unaligned partnership, or is trying to make me feel bad because this coworker is really like mirroring a similar dynamic I had with my mom, or whatever it is. It's not trying to punish you or hurt you or anything like that. It's literally an opportunity that says, look, you can respond in the way you always have and go back down the rabbit hole that you always did that led you to the same behaviors, limiting beliefs, all the things, or you can take a pause and see how can I actually see this situation, this dynamic through a different perspective and respond now from my highest version of self. That's kind of really what it's asking you. You're doing the subconscious work, but is that going to reflect in your behaviors?
I just had a major channeling just in this moment. And it's like it feels like a big revelation in a way. But the universe just said basically, a test is me just knocking at the door to see where you're at and what you want to receive. For the very first time, the universe is saying it in a way that's like not even you have to do better than that, don't settle kind of energy. It's not even that. It's basically saying like, I'm trying to meet you at where you're at. Let's see if this, we're working this out in real time as it's communicating. So basically what it's trying to say in this very moment, it's saying like, if you were in that relationship before that the person couldn't commit, or maybe they cheated on you, or they weren't emotionally available and couldn't like really meet your needs, they're not being malicious, they're playing out their childhood stuff. And so you're out of that relationship now and you're calling in one that meets your needs. The universe is just knocking at your frequency and saying, hello, with each test. This is each opportunity coming through, right? It's saying, hello, do you still want this type of relationship? Because I'm here to give that to you if you want it. And you're going like, do I take it? That's comfortable. And the universe is like, yeah, you can have it. It's still going to play out the exact same way as your old one. Or what we learned through To Be Magnetic is what this magic, this crazy magic happens if you say, no, but do the work, subconscious reprogramming to go like, why am I attracting this? Now I need to go figure that out and unblock it. Bam, the universe is now going, when you unblocked, you went up, like you ascended a bit in your self-worth is how we put it in material terms, non like frequency terms, right? So your self-worth just grew. Because you're like, no, wait, I realize now, oh my God, I was accepting this because my dad wasn't emotionally available when I was little, and I went there and I healed that and I reparented myself. And now, no, fuck that. I deserve somebody emotionally available. So now the universe is going to come knock on your door again and be like, okay, we have someone who isn't going to cheat on you anymore, and they might be a little emotionally available, but they don't have a job. Like, whatever. Because maybe that's something you really desire. You desire to be in true partnership where both of you can show up together to do the things you want, right? So that's like a little bit of a channeling. What's that? I'll be right back.
Yes, no worries.
Okay, I'm coming. Okay, I'll be right back. You can see how summer is a real vibe.
Oh my gosh.
So it's a vibe. Okay, so basically, yeah, I just wanted to reframe the energy of it that just came through in this real moment where, so you know that the moment you start to consciously or unconsciously start calling something in, it's already orbiting you, right? That thing that you really want. But the universe can only give you what your authentic self-worth is on a subconscious level. So when you are calling in that new thing, it's going to keep knocking at your door with either an opportunity or, yeah, an emotional experience or growth, whatever. And so it's going to just knock at your door and be like, is this what you wanted? And it's only going to match where your subconscious self-worth is. So it's not even, it's testing you, yes, because if we say no to that thing and we continue to unblock and expand, better and better and better is going to come through until ultimately it's the thing we've been wanting. But we're having to grow into that and bless the universe that it's trying each little step of the way to give you what you'll accept. So that's just a little teeny reframe that just channeled in real time.
I think that's so good too, because there's a couple things. A lot of people see every dynamic in their life through the lens of, is this a test or is this not a test? And they become almost like paralyzed to it. This is for like super TBMers, that they are almost afraid of making the wrong decision of, oh my gosh, what if I don't follow that path of the highest self? And what if I go back to my old patterns or respond in the old way? Is my life going to be totally fucked up? And it's like, no, that's just life. You're just going to be getting more of the same energy you're getting. At some point, you will get sick of settling. At some point, after doing the unblocking work, you will be like, okay, I'm ready. But we always say, like, don't be afraid to run into the fire. Like, if that's what you need at that moment, you will still be okay. So I just want to give that permission to people that it's not do or die. Your life's not going to fall apart if you don't pass the test. It's just, you'll get many more opportunities to pass them again and again, especially if this is something you're working on, that you want, that you are trying to shift.
Yes, 100%.
And then what about, it's so interesting because I asked on my Instagram, like, what are your test questions? Almost every single question is just an annoying thing that happened in someone's life. And they're like, I got this giant bill. What does this mean? I got this. What does this mean? I am annoyed with this coworker. What does that mean? My clients are not wanting to pay my fee. What does this mean? And it's so interesting because, and I've been there too, where I'm like, wait, what should I choose? What do I mean? But you have to see it as like, these are normal things that will happen in life. It's your perception and the story that you're putting on them is what's giving them the triggering situation. So for example, someone said their HVAC system collapsed. They have to like get a new one. Annoying, no doubt, I'm sure. But for one person, that could mean a collapse of their finances. For another person, that could be like an inconvenient payment. For another person, they could be like, well, okay, we can't take that trip we wanted this summer, but whatever, this is going to be fine. It's all about where's your nervous system and what meaning are you making about this thing happening? Do you think that the HVAC situation happening, or put that with any big bill or expense that pops up in your life, meaning that you're getting punished, that you don't deserve money? What is the story that things don't work out for you? Like, what limiting belief is starting to creep in to that outside circumstance that is disempowering? And then it's like, okay, wait, let's put this test protocol in place and actually parse out what narrative I'm telling myself by this external thing happening.
Yeah, I agree. And yes, those things coming in are often tied to something you're calling in, and they're definitely testing, they're a test. But I think what you're saying too, Jessica, is just so important because they'll give you a direct mirror about where your subconscious beliefs lie, right? Your reaction, your trauma response to them. And that's what the universe is trying to gauge. Where are you in your level of authentic magnetism? It wants to know, and it doesn't mean you pretend to be that you're not affected by these things, but they're your opportunity to do the work, to go down and figure out, whoa, I'm having a really big reaction to this, or I'm not, or whatever. Where is that really from? Because it doesn't have to do with this bill in front of me, right? That bill in front of me is just a bill in front of me. Even if I'm the brokest person in the world, it's what it represents to me. And then my stress in relationship to that is something that actually happened long ago, or some form of programming I picked up long ago about how I should be responding to this or stress in general. And that's what the universe is curious about. And it's not punishing you, it's just wanting to know. So if you're getting that bill in, but you're calling in money, it's wanting to know, where is your abundance mindset at? And not in that old traditional, I have to be abundant all the time and believe that I'm always positive and abundant. No, doesn't give a shit about that, does not care at all about that. It wants to know on a subconscious level, have you cleaned up that old loop that's saying, if I get this, the whole rug's going to be pulled out from under me and I don't actually deserve to be held or secure in any way, shape, or form. That's what it wants to know about. And that's what it's checking in on. It's knocking at your door to be like, is that where you still are? Or this greater thing you've been calling in, are you actually looping in that space on a subconscious level? And again, that's not something you can pretend in your conscious mind, like that old manifestation version of just being positive. The universe doesn't care if you're positive all the time. That's a beautiful way to live. Eventually, very slowly, that's going to reprogram and rewire your brain. All it cares about is on a subconscious level where you're looping still, because where you're looping still is what you're going to manifest. Not in a I'm attracting bad things kind of way. It's just the level of where you'll be. That's where the level of your finances will be. That's where the level of your relationship will be. That's where your living situation will be. And it's not good or bad. It's just where your subconscious is. So yeah, the universe, each little test is an opportunity to go, ooh, that's my reaction, that's how I feel, or that's what I'll take, or whatever, and look at why, to get curious. Why? Where does that really come from? And then that's where you're playing with. That thing down there that you're playing with is what's actually manifesting your reality.
What would you say for someone who seemingly has run into the fire so many times that they feel pressure and shame of making the right decision next, and that like eyes are on them to like make the right decision? Like I think about certain friends where they've settled in an area with their career time and time again. And they're like, okay, this time it's going to be different. I'm going to say no to that job. And then the job comes around, they take the job. Or I've seen this in people in dating dynamics where they're like, I'm all done with the unemotional partner. I'm not going to say yes to it anymore. And then lo and behold, at some point they get back to it and they feel all this shame around it. How would you say they should approach tests or looking at tests so they can kind of metabolize the shame without putting tests on a pedestal, being so afraid of making the wrong choice with them when they have made the wrong choice for themselves in the past?
Gosh, this is such an interesting one because it has nothing to do with the test itself. It's just that the thing in their subconscious hasn't shifted yet. More importantly, like in that circumstance, I feel like they haven't been expanded at that point. Like that's the real piece. Or they have and they don't believe that expansion's possible. I think that's like the real root. I don't know if you can think to those circumstances, but that would be my gut instinct. If the person keeps taking the thing they don't want, they keep taking it, that there's nothing wrong with that. It's just a way of living, So if I were working with them as a client, I would say what's going on there, it's less about that they haven't unblocked which they probably have been trying to unblock. It's more that they're not expanded enough, or when they have seen forms of fragment or whole picture expansion, their low self-worth is still telling them, yeah, but they can have it and I can't too. And I think that's the bigger thing they're playing with. I wonder that too when people do that in career. There's a form of a really deep ingrained belief system and programming that they have not expanded out of and don't believe it's possible for them. That would be my hit.
Yeah, the other piece too there is some sort of like attachment wounding, feeling really, really unsafe. And it's almost like the temporary relationship or job, the thing that you wind up settling for, saying yes to, the opportunity, the shiny carrot opportunity. It's fighting between the discomfort of, oof, am I going to say no to this and be by myself for a little bit? And can I withstand that aloneness, or can I withstand not having that connection to someone for a little while and trust if I sit with myself that eventually this thing will come around? Or do I want even a breadcrumb of connection with this person, even though I know they're not going to give me what I want, but at least it'll like tide over that feeling of connection, I guess, in the interim.
There's just a much deeper wound going on there. They haven't expanded out of. Their brain believes like this is as good as it's going to get and it's only going to be this. So I would rather, there's an attachment thing. I would rather have this than expand myself, that I'm actually better off alone until the better thing comes. That's like it's just deeper work. So for instance, if someone's in that space, of course, TBM, all the tools and stuff, but that's when I would be like, it's time to work with a professional and not a coach, like an EMDR therapist, like a Janelle, who can really help you go all the way there, because you're not reaching it on your own, because there's just some deeper stuff there you're really needing. And so it would definitely be with like an EMDR or somatic therapist I would do, not a coach.
I think that's a really good piece of advice too, especially if you feel like it's the same pattern again and again and again. Someone else wrote in with one of their test questions that every challenge, they basically identify one of their biggest blockers is their relationship. I think they said their marriage. And they know that it's not aligned, but they get so afraid of actually taking the steps to move through it and get over it. And obviously that's not the exact same scenario we're painting here, but the writing's on the wall. It's been that thing that has just shown them again and again and again, this isn't right. This is where it's like we have to do that expansion work in micro ways. Like, what is one step that you can take towards this decision? If you've already gone to couples counseling, you know for sure like this isn't going to work. Okay, great. Is it talking to friends who have gotten divorced? Surround yourself with tons of people who've gotten divorced and had thriving lives on the other side. Like, what is it that your subconscious needs to know and hear so you can feel safe making that decision that is in your highest
and
good?
Working through every piece of programming you've ever taken up about people who get divorced and how they're bad or whatever, whatever your family, if there were like religious upbringing, there's a lot there to go through the shadow of, but 100% surrounding yourself or hearing stories. We have a great episode with Janelle about divorce on here. It's really finding those expanders and unblocking any of the shadow you have around divorce.
Every now and then I come across a product that feels like the missing piece, something that totally shifts how I feel in my body, and I instantly know it's going to become part of my daily routine. That's exactly how I felt when I found Armor Colostrum. It's the type of thing that makes you say, why didn't I know about this sooner? As you may know, I am always looking for ways to deeper support my gut healing. I feel like a lot of my emotional healing connects to my gut, and a lot of my physical healing connects to my gut. And as someone who is prone to leaky gut, which means the lining in your stomach and gut and digestive tract is porous, so you're letting contaminants, toxins, everything in, you're letting food and other things out, something that helps to fortify the gut lining was huge. And that is exactly one of the many things that Armor Colostrum does. Colostrum is the original superfood. It is designed by nature to kickstart life and now proven to regenerate and repair the body at a cellular level. It is a bioactive whole food, a pure potent concentrate of over 400 nutrients from bovine colostrum. They're ethically and sustainably sourced from calf-first ethos, meaning only the surplus of colostrum from grass-fed cows on family farms. I've noticed such a shift in my digestion, in my skin, in my metabolism, and what I'm able to even digest for food. It works across the board, fortifying gut health, balancing immune response, igniting metabolism, and even enhancing hair growth and skin radiance. And we've worked out a special offer for our podcast audience. Receive 15% off your first order by going to tryarmra.com/TBM or enter the code TBM to get 15% off your first order. Again, that's tryarmra.com/TBM. Okay, so a test hits, or we think a test hits, or some big life moment happens and we're like, oh my gosh, is this a test? So the first thing we want you guys to do is pause. No action, no responses, just kind of witness, like take a beat before jumping down any rabbit holes, and what we call is reset, which is regulate. Do a little breath work, do a little grounding, do any of our calming deep imaginings. We have the regulated DI, the reset DI. Get your critical thinking back online. Because a lot of times when we get hit with tests, it's like a nervous system jolt. We're like, whoa, can I handle that? Like, what does this mean? And there are all these things that are happening somatically. So if we can actually drop back into our bodies and be like, okay, cool, what's going on? And then from that place, reframe. The test is not the punishment. The test is not here to trick you or fool you. It's like, okay, this is a growth opportunity, maybe one that doesn't feel so good in the moment, but this is a growth opportunity. And then when you have time and resources, then kind of go in and start doing what we call the reviewing process. But this is really where you understand your patterning and how you're going to respond to this dynamic. The number one question I always shoot back to people when they ask me about tests: what have you responded to this exact dynamic before in the past? What do you typically associate with something like this? What belief system do you think this is saying about you? What limiting beliefs does this lean on for you? What has been your pattern here? So reframe, recontextualize. It's not a punishment. It's not here to hurt you. It's just a growth opportunity. No matter what decision you choose, route you go, you're going to be fine. You will get another test. If you don't pass it, you're okay. And then review. And the number one question I always shoot back to people whenever they're like, is this a test? It's so funny when you guys ask me, you're like, Jessica, this happened in my life. Is this a test? How should I respond? I'm like, guys, you should be asking yourself. Like,
Also, like, this is not, we've been talking about a lot of AI, but I sometimes ask ChatGPT. I had a big test come up a week ago, and I had to say, like, okay, here's all the circumstances going on in TBM's languaging. Tell me what my root block is.
This is actually really funny because you guys are not going to see all of this, but Lacy's beautiful kids are really wanting mom's attention right now so much. How do you contextualize this as a test? Like, would you be like, this is a test, or would you say this is just a life circumstance?
I would say that the universe has been asking me for a very long time to find the right balance between work and children and presence and all of the things I'm processing, and that this is the universe being like, see? So it not so much a test. I mean, maybe, but I would see it more as the universe is inviting me to continue. So we just had a big podcast episode we recorded about, if you haven't gotten to listen to the anniversary podcast we just recorded, we had a really long standing conversation in it about how the world is going to be changing from now till 2027. Things are just not going to operate like they did before. Work, corporate, all of it's going to change as we know it through all the things, AI, and just through how systems are going to totally break down. Yeah, anyways, that's just what's happening. And so I think this, like for me in this circumstance, as I'm questioning a lot of things, like we got back from break and I'm like, we should be doing more breaks. Why aren't we doing more breaks? That's crazy. I think what I would see this as, the universe has been communicating very clear to me about my different relationship with media and my different relationship with like running businesses and what a business should look like, that this would be the universe kind of like pinging. You could see it as a test, you could see it as a trigger, or you could see it as just a simple communication that the universe is like, see, the way we operated in the past, where we were in offices, we had a 9 to 5, we did it like this, it's just not going to be reality anymore, I think, leading up until 2027. And it's time for all of us to find our relationship with what authentically works with us. And I think that this is a really good example of the universe being like, those old forms aren't the only way. I think of this a little bit too like the book. We have a book coming out and we're having to record the audiobook, and I'm going to record the intro and like the first person parts, but Jessica's recording the other parts. Jessica and Allie on the team helped write the new exercises that are in the book that are never seen. So when you do get this book, it is going to be completely new material. And I don't think people have probably ever done that before, right?
Like our book agents are like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah. And there's such a system with books, right? They're very systematic. And it's why I've always been very apprehensive to do a book, because I don't fall into those types of systems well. Maybe they're not systems as much as they're like structures. I don't fall into those structures well. And so I'm sure, yeah, our agents and publishers are like, wait, what? So there's going to be 2 people reading, like, it's so new and innovative. And I think that's the way things are going to be moving. Old structures are no longer going to be, they're just not going to hold up in the way things are moving. And so, yeah, very long-winded way to say, like, I don't know if my kids interrupting all day is so much as a test. Is it Mercury retrograde and 6 planets in retrograde? I think 5 or 6. Or is it just a louder thing of like, you're in this clunky in between from now to 2027, and you need to stay in your intuition and stay on the cusp as you always have been in business, and keep listening and following that. And that's what I think has always made To Be Magnetic so interesting. It's what makes us interesting. And so, yeah, I guess that wouldn't be a test to me. So maybe that's an invitation for people who are just getting these little triggers and annoyances coming up in their life of being like, wait, what has been the louder message or things I've been working through? What is this communication saying to me about what's looping down below inside? That's how I would address it.
I love the way that you look at this too, because this also takes it off a pedestal, makes it this big scary thing that you have to do all of a sudden blocking around. It's like, okay, cool. I'm just getting the message. It's just part of this other theme that I've already been picking up on. I don't have to freak out about it. It's not like in the moment I have to directly reply back to it with this. It's more of a bigger message that's being communicated over time. That's why the monthly check-in DI is so good, because it's like, what are all those little annoyances, life moments, triggers? What's the pattern? The pattern is the message that's asking you to change the bigger thing. Now, again, with some people, you're going to have a very direct one. Like you'll have a relationship opportunity that's aligned or one that isn't. And that maybe requires the bigger effort or response or whatever. But with these little like tendrils, I don't want people to get caught in the weeds and thinking there has to be this big systematized way of navigating. Like, it's part of life. Just pick up the pattern, pick up the theme. And then when you do that like overall check-in once a month, it's like, oh, okay, this is why all of this stuff's coming up.
Yeah, I think that's the way to address it. And you know, when big tests hit, like those heavy big ones, those feel so different from the little one. They feel,
yes,
they are so triggering, activating. And it doesn't always have to be triggering of anger. It can be like so scary, like those big scary ones. And those are almost the same as these. It's not the universe punishing you. It's just not. It's the universe meeting you where you're at while you're communicating to it that you want more. That's all it is. And the universe being like, but are you going to do the work to have more? Or are you going to take this? Because here it is if you want it. And then most likely when you take it and you're in it, which is totally fine, you're just going to play out the same pattern you have until you're sick of it, where next time you're going to wait until you're going to do the work for the better thing. And I've had to do that so many times. I've had to do that so many times. I still do that. I do that sometimes with like my home support people. I'm like, I'm too exhausted to go find a new version of this right now. So I'm going to fucking settle for what it is. And guess what? The same dynamics playing out that played out with the other one and the other one and the other one. But I'm too tired. And also knowing that there's a little bit of a light that after both kids are in school, I'm not going to need this anymore, you know, in different versions. So it's being able to, just having,
It's really high self-worth.
high self-worth.
Like not giving all of your power to the test, but saying like, I'm going to navigate this with the most intention that I can. And I'm going to be good no matter what, you know, like that is having that high self-worth. It's like, okay, you know what? If I run into the fire and settle for this thing that I've settled for before, yeah, it might be clunky and a little messy, but it's going to be okay. I'm going to figure it out. You know what? Here's what I can do afterwards. And here's the, like, that is approaching it from a place of high self-worth. It's knowing that you have the resiliency no matter what happens, no matter what's being thrown at you, and you can move through this challenging, difficult moment, time, opportunity, whatever.
Yeah, agreed.
You've heard us talk about our Pathway membership, but what actually is it? It is an all-access membership where you can get every single workshop that we've ever created, all of our deep imaginings, which are our reprogramming audios, to help you manifest. You can access it on the desktop or in the TBM app on your phone directly. We, of course, have our foundational workshops, such as our How to Manifest workshop, which takes you step by step through this neural manifestation process to actually unblock, expand, and take aligned action to connect with your manifestations. Our How to Be Magnetic workshop, our Inner Child and Shadow workshops. And then, of course, we have a workshop if you are in a rut, if you're in a rock bottom, if you're in an up level, perhaps you need to set boundaries. Maybe you want to focus specifically on the block of money or love. It is all in there. And then twice a year as a community, we gather for our challenges. Our challenges are one of the most effective parts of the process because you get accountability. It is really a handheld experience in how to work through whatever the theme of that year's challenge is. And now to my absolute favorite part of our membership, which I think in and of itself would be worth the entire weight of the membership if we just had this alone, our Deep Imagining library. This library encompasses over 60 neural reprogramming audio tracks. They're self-hypnosis tracks that will really support you in any step of this journey. If you're needing calming, nervous system regulation, unblocking with a specific test or trigger, going through a difficult time, processing a big emotion, or maybe you just want reinforcing, how to reinforce those neural pathways of confidence, abundance, self-worth, deservingness, and connection with your dream life. And not only that, if you go to the app, we just launched Deep Imagining playlists where we're grouping different themes of DIs together. So no matter what you're going through, you have something for you. And we're constantly dropping new playlists as well as brand new Deep Imaginings. And if you need more support in your process, you can go to our brand new video series, Channelings with Lacy, where she touches on the exact energetics that are going on right now in manifestation and how it may apply to your life. So obviously, I am a huge fan of this membership. The peace of mind I get from being able to have all the tools I need at my disposal, no matter where I'm at with my life, if shit's hitting the fan, if I'm feeling dysregulated, if I'm needing to come back to my center, if I'm needing to brainstorm or daydream or connect with what my vision for my future is, every single tool is in there to support me. And don't just take my word for it. We have thousands of testimonials of people who have had incredible success stories with these tools. So take the guesswork out of your manifestation process and get real tools that are going to give you real results. For podcast listeners only, you can use code EXPANDED, all caps EXPANDED, for 20% off your first month of the pathway. Join now and have your best year yet.
Yeah, and I would say, so you've walked through the steps and you've let people know, like the moment a proper test hits or a minor test hits, like it's still the same thing. It's like pause, you go through those steps. And then I would say the other thing I like to do when I get tests, again, why the monthly check-in I think is so key. I even had a friend yesterday reach out and she's been in the process of buying her first home. And she's also left her serious relationship about a year ago and has had multiple dating experiences. And it's so interesting interesting. With each home that she puts an offer in on, the courtship she's in completely mirrors the house, right? It's a no-brainer. It's the love and money connection. But I like to, when I have a test hit, or in her current circumstance, everything's going fine in this courtship, but he's not ready. He's not available. The last guy wasn't available. And they were great. They just weren't ready to commit. And so I like to look at all the other things in my life. And like, so for her, when she looks at the place she's putting, an offer in on and stuff, it's like, oh, wow, this really mirrors this home, and the energy of this home mirrors also the person that I'm seeing. And it's so helpful because it also takes out the what's wrong with me piece a little bit. This is a great home. This is a great person, but it's not what I want in this very moment. It's so beautiful to look at the different variables and what is the theme coming up. And like for her, one of her themes is she's too understanding. And that's a beautiful thing. She's like really conscious and understanding of where people and things are at. And it's like, no, but now that's fine when you're just like dating someone, but you want a family, you want the thing. So now it's like, you want the person who's fully available and ready the moment they meet you. And so that's like the beauty is like not getting emotionally, and you have to feel your things, but not getting strung out on it, and actually seeing the correlations and where they correlate to your subconscious and doing the work around it, finding the expanders and letting that expansion integrate in order to get that bigger thing you've been calling in. And just knowing that the house and the person, they're just the knock at the door of where you are right now. But the other thing you want's orbiting. The universe is just handing you that energy subconsciously you're putting out.
What would you say I think this type of test plays out for people that they get tripped up on a lot, where we got two submissions on this, but one person said, I'm in a toxic relationship at work with the office, and they don't know if their test is asking them to stand up for themselves or to leave the dynamic. And then someone else shared that they are owed a certain sum of money from this contractor, and it's been almost a year, and they don't know if their test is to stand up for themselves and keep fighting for the money, or to be like, you know what, fuck it. I let it go. Like I did all I can, but like now I just have to accept we're not getting it and I need to move on. What would you say for those people who are like, is it stand up or walk away?
It's so specific to their circumstance. And it really comes down to, I love this. It's such a simple, we talk about it all the time. Jessica talks about it. I talk about it all the time. It's such a simple lens. The opposite is always the medicine. What have you always done in the past? Because the universe is calling you to do the opposite now, and to become expanded enough that when you do that opposite, you feel safe and good in it, like you have done and prepped the work, that you're okay to just like be in, there goes my cat, just be in grace after. And boy, is that magnetic. So if in this circumstance with the person who, is in that toxic relationship with the boss, if they've always just left before, the opposite is the medicine, is to like, and not do it in a really dramatic way. It's like you need to do the work, do the unblocking work, do the expansion work, so that when you go and talk to this boss, that you're not re-triggering their stuff. That's the place to be coming from. Whereas the contractor one, if they're always fighting for their thing, their medicine at this point might be to be like, wow, that's a large sum. I'm going to unblock and expand and feel perfectly fine about walking away, because I know that what's mine can never truly be lost, that I will get that back in tenfold through other avenues and stuff. So that's how I would look at that. If I don't directly know that person in front of me, that's the tool I would use.
That's like the first through line I feel like you really need to look at, is like, what has my patterning been here before? What do I typically respond to? And now that I'm like, what am I working on? What am I stepping into with my self-worth? What sort of story about myself am I shifting or remembering rather? That's how you want to respond to it, because one person's version of high self-worth could be walking away, and one person's high self-worth could be standing up to them. It's going to be different for everyone. So when someone just blanketly says, how should I respond? It's like, well, I don't know you. I don't know you. I need to understand you and your patterns and how this dynamic has played out in your life so many other times. And so many people write me in with test questions and they're like, I think it's giving me the sign of this, but I just don't know. I'm like, you do know. You just said it.
Yeah.
Like sometimes
Yeah.
you almost have to type it out. This is why having an accountability buddy is so good, or
So
even
good.
just having the community chat or whatever it is. I mean, you guys, we have the cohorts now instead with the magnetic meetups where you guys can meet on Zoom and work through something. Journal on working through your tests. Have one, you're like, we're going to bring our tests and kind of like examine the best route for it. I feel like the only tests that I wind up really laboring over are the ones that come before a big manifestation.
Yeah.
And that's when it's like, I need to really get my like clarity on, get my, like, look at my authentic code, like look at my patterns and be like, oh, I see what it's asking now.
Yeah, I agree. And sometimes those are like the big Achilles heels ones that take a lot more regulating.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I guess the other thing I'll give just wisdom to people in this is sometimes you will know the right thing to do. You will get that clarity and you're like, oh shit, but now I have to do it. And it's scary.
So scary.
And even if it's scary, that doesn't mean that it's wrong. Passing the test is not always going to feel the most easeful because you're at your growth edge. It's like Lacy said at the top of the episode, the universe is like, hey, like just checking where you're at. You're basically knocking back to the universe to be like, okay, I'm here. I'm ready. I'm on to the next thing. And you're up leveling. So know that if you do feel those growing pains, that's normal.
Yeah, agreed. That means you're really about to go to the next level.
Yeah.
And that's how things are. That's how it works, and it's special.
So good. So I would also, the protocol I'm going to send you guys to is go to week 5 in the authenticity challenge. We have a section on tests. It literally has every single step. It has the most common types of tests, so you can kind of get a theme of what it may be asking of you. And then we have some journal prompts if you need more space to kind of pull it out and look at it and examine it. We have the test DI, so many resources for this, but I would just say oftentimes, especially if you journal on it and be like, okay, what are all my feelings on this? Your higher self voices in that journal session at some point and tells you exactly what you want. It's the old programming that comes in after that tries to convince you of like, but what if this or what if that, and like walks you down all the rabbit holes. Like try to get back to that source answer, and that will be your map out of it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys, and good luck with the tests. They are a part of life. They are little blessings and also challenges, but we got it. We're good.
Yeah. Good luck.
Bye. I hope you guys enjoyed that episode and have some food for thoughts of what tests might be popping up for you right now. And if you are curious, the steps of how to pass a test, how to work through a test, how to navigate when you're facing a test, check out week 5, day 22 in our Authenticity Challenge workshop. Find it in the app. You can search it on our platform. Number 1, pause. Don't need to react. Don't need to respond. Just take a breath and acknowledge and witness and have awareness. Oh, this may be a test popping up. And it might be my manifestation and my growth edge asking me to step into another version of self. 2, reset. Calm the nervous system. Utilize the tools to get your critical thinking back online. Taking a few deep breaths. We're going to be releasing a couple of short somatic practices that we have baked into our DIs, but just as standalones in the daily practice library. So stay tuned for those soon, which you can just use them as quick little resets for your nervous system, but reset everything. 3, reframe. This is not the universe punishing you. You're not a bad person. You're not destined for failure. You are not F up or mess up, whatever you want to call it. You're not a bad person. These life things happen. You can navigate it with resilience, and you can navigate it with growth and strength on the other side. And what you want wants to connect with you too. This doesn't mean that you're further away from it because this test is popping up. 4, review, especially those big tests where you're like, I don't know what it's asking me. I don't know what the pattern is, what's going on here. We have journal prompts inside of this exact section that will take you through what to think about when it comes to these tests. What patterning might be at play? What is your opposite is the medicine? What happened before? What can you respond to this as something different? Use these as the visual that pops into my head when I think about, especially those big tests. We're like, oh, it's rattling me, it's shaking me. What does this mean? Think about a climber who has to secure its next foothold before it pulls itself up. This is the universe testing you as you're climbing that mountain. Is this a secure foothold? Can I trust that you will respond to this message from the universe, this send from the universe, or even just this life experience? Can you respond to it from this new sense, or is this not secure yet and we're not going to send you this next thing? Just see it as those little opportunities of securing your next, finger holds. I don't know. I'm not a climber, but you get the gist. As these next little buckets of crawling up, that's going to secure your climb towards your manifestation. So you're up-leveling your self-worth, connecting with your manifestation, and securing those resilient growth paths on the way. Do not fret when you're being tested. I know it can be really challenging, but you got this. Just re-listen to this episode, take it in, put the steps, put the protocol in practice. And I promise you, on the other side of a test is always some sort of kismet manifestation, whether it's your major, whether it's a mini, or whether it's just an internal growth chapter for yourself that is genuinely sometimes even better than the majors and minis. But there will be a reward on the other side. And celebrate those wins. When you do finally look at a test and are able to navigate it from a place of true integrity and authenticity, that is a major, major win. And honestly, I clock a lot of those as manifestations in and of themselves because it is proof of my own growth. Okay, thank you guys, and we'll see you next week.